Hello and welcome to today's podcast episode. The Department of Education recently signaled it will no longer consider nursing a professional career, despite it being a field dominated by women and built on rigorous life-saving work. I want to explore what this decision means for the women who have poured themselves into this profession. This decision serves as a reminder that women have oftentimes been in positions of oppression since the foundation of America, even on a global scale, but particularly in America. Thinking about how women were unable to have financial control over themselves until about 50 years ago. A little over 100 years ago, women weren't even allowed to vote. This is seen as another method used by the patriarchy to keep women oppressed and in lesser than positions. Here with me is a guest by the name of Talia Simone. Welcome and please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Talia and I'm a nursing alumna from FAMU. I'm currently working at HCA Florida out of Gainesville, and it is so nice to speak with you today about different aspects of our current society. I definitely do see this as a trend that centers around devaluing the impact of women and their place in the workforce. I feel as though women are essential to so many of these degrees like nursing, and the fact that they have been targeted by the Department of Education to not be deemed as professional is clearly intentional to try to minimize the impacts and minimize the necessity of women in the workforce. So many of these fields that are now being deemed unprofessional by the Department of Education are essential to the functions of our society.
Declaring nursing unprofessional has a significant negative implications for the funding and the job market, while simultaneously undermining the work that countless of nurses have put in order to obtain this degree. It is so important to hear about firsthand experience. So diving into the ground and hearing from people from a more personal level, I've been speaking to a plethora of nurses to hear their stories and hear about how they have been impacted by this recent change. With me, I have Idarse Eno. Hi, welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Idarse Eno, and I currently work at Moffitt Cancer Center here in Tampa, Florida. I am currently enrolled at FAMU's BSN program, getting my bachelor's degree, and I plan on pursuing higher education after receiving that degree. Honestly, immediately, I felt very targeted. I even was saying it at work, like, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman, someone who depends on scholarships to get an education like this, and to be able to do all of the goals that I have in life kind of depend on having a stable job. And that's why I chose nursing in the first place.
As I spoke with all these nurses, what really rose to my attention was the main concern that funding would not be as accessible for nurses trying to pursue a higher degree, as well as this would affect the workforce. And already this career and this specific position is understaffed in some areas. And this would only increase the shortage of nurses, because without a lack of funding, a lot of nurses are unable to pay their way. Being unable to apply for loans and just get the necessary funding really impacts nurses trying to get a higher degree. With me, I have Jane Gross, a retired nurse, who will share more about her personal experience and how this will impact her daughter, who was looking to pursue a higher degree in nursing.
I'm Jane Gross, and I am a retired RN. Hospice, actually, I retired from hospice nursing in 2015. I was in shock, really, and thought, what? Of course we're professional. We already know from research that we're going to be the U.S. is going to be majorly short on physicians. And Florida actually passed a law several years ago that nursing practitioners can order prescriptions and not have to sign off with a physician, and that's what was going to be saving us. But now with this new bill, I'm really afraid that it's going to keep nurses like my daughter, for instance, who was planning to go back to get her advanced nursing degree. It's going to really discourage them because they're not going to be able to get the funding that the student loans.
In order to really grasp the gravity of the role that nurses play, here with me I have Carissa Kane to paint the picture of what a typical night in a hospital may look like.
Hello, it is so nice to speak with you. My name is Carissa Kane. I am a nursing alumna from FAMU working at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. So a night shift in the ICU at Mayo is nonstop. I come in, I get a report, and I immediately jump into assessing my patients. From there, it's really a rhythm, like managing sedations, titrating critical drips, working with respiratory therapy, responding to alarms, and adjusting the plan with providers as things change. Every night looks different, but one thing is consistent. You're on your feet, thinking critically, and you staying ready for anything. When nurses say long hours, they're not just talking about the clock. They mean probably the mental, emotional, and physical load you carry the whole shift. A 12-hour shift can feel like you live 3 different lives in one night. You're constantly problem solving, sometimes not even getting a chance to sit, eat, drink, go to the bathroom, while constantly caring for somebody that needs to sit, eat, drink, go to the bathroom.
Thank you for sharing your insight, Miss Kane. Ending it off with some final remarks from Idarase Ino. She gets emotional as she portrays what it's really like for her and the emotional toll it is for her as a nurse working long hours in a hospital. And then hearing the news that her job is no longer considered professional.
It felt very dismissive. I can't believe that they're saying that it's no longer professional when there's so many there's so many things that we have to go through where hold on, I'm sorry. The stress that I have at work, knowing that like my documentation is law for one, knowing like I have a license to lose, that's something that people are constantly saying, and it's actually very serious. Like I know if I make a mistake at work, it has high consequences. Like this is not a joke. It's not anything to be like, oh, this isn't professional. I just know that the stakes are really high for my job. Like going into work, I mentally prepare myself that anything can happen today. An emergency could arise. I just need to be like mentally prepared, because the mental toll is a whole different subject other than the physical toll. I know I'm going to be on my feet for at least 12 hours. I know that people are depending on me and literally relying on me for the next 12 hours. So for them to say that our work isn't professional, it just seems so backhanded. It really was kind of a slap in the face. Do you know how long it took to get this license?
Winding down the episode, targeting fields that are undoubtedly professional and undoubtedly important and necessary for society emphasizes intention, undermining women-dominated careers. Nursing losing professional status sends an alarm that our society, and particularly people in power within our society, do not value human connection and life, nor empathy and grace, which only leaves room for a society that fuels a patriarchy, money, and power-driven mindset. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.